This story is about a girl who travels to a country in the Middle East with her boyfriend. However, due to work, he is unable to go on a trip with her. So, she decides to travel alone with a stranger to a deserted desert. As she enjoys the journey, she forgets about her boyfriend. But suddenly, they face a terrible situation, making it impossible to escape. Lost in the vast desert with no water, they wander for days, struggling to survive. With the scorching sun above them and no help in, their journey turns into a nightmare. At the start of the story, two people struggle to climb down a steep cliff. Suddenly, their feet slip and they fall. As they plunge downward, the scene shifts into a flashback, revealing the events that led them to this moment. David, a professional lawyer, and his girlfriend Lucy, a food chemist, deeply love each other. In just a few days, they will be getting married. Before their big day, they decide to take a holiday together in an Arab country to celebrate and create beautiful memories. David and Lucy soon arrive in the Arab country and check into a luxurious hotel. That evening, Lucy goes to the restaurant first and waits at a table while David takes some time to arrive. Meanwhile, a young man named Ben, sitting at a nearby, notices Lucy alone. Wanting to impress her, he sends over a famous dish from the country. Lucy enjoys the food and feels delighted. Curious, she glances at Ben, acknowledging his kind gesture. David arrives at the restaurant and notices Lucy is not alone, so Ben quietly leaves. Excited, David shares that he has won an important case and will receive a big reward. To celebrate, he gives Lucy a beautiful ring and proposes to her. Overjoyed by the moment, Lucy happily accepts. Their love feels stronger than ever as they look forward to a wonderful future together, making this night truly unforgettable. The next morning, David and Lucy plan to explore the open desert together. However, just before they leave, David receives an urgent call from his office. He is asked to attend an important video conference, meaning he can no longer go on the yacht. Hearing this, Lucy becomes very upset because David always prioritizes work over their time together. Frustrated and disappointed, she argues with him. To calm the situation, David suggests that Lucy go on the trip alone and enjoy the experience. Frustrated, Lucy decides to go on the trip alone. She walks to her car, where other travelers are also preparing for the desert journey. Just then, she notices Ben again and approaches him for a conversation. Ben tells her he is going trekking on a famous mountain 30 miles away and invites her to join him. However, Lucy politely declines. She then turns back, walks to her car, and sits inside, still upset about David choosing work over spending time with her. Then, Ben notices her in his car, meaning she has decided to go with him. He walks over and asks her to drive, saying that after 10 miles he will need to rest. Lucy agrees, but reminds him that she must return before 4 p.m. tomorrow, ensuring the trip won't be too long. After this, they leave for their destination. They drive through the desert for a long time before finally reaching the mountain. When they arrive, Lucy looks around and is amazed. From this height, the entire desert is visible in all directions. The breathtaking view makes her very happy, as the scenery is truly spectacular. Meanwhile, David prepares for his online meeting. Just then, he gets a call informing him that the board members have already made a decision without him, so the meeting is canceled. Realizing he missed the trip for nothing, he feels frustrated and regretful. He ruined his vacation for work, only to be left with disappointment. Ben and Lucy prepare to spend the night on the mountain. Curious, Lucy asks Ben what he does for a living. Ben smiles and says he doesn't do anything special. They continue talking for a long time, sharing stories and experiences. As time passes, night falls, and the peaceful surroundings make the moment even more special. Lucy starts recording a video, and they have a fun conversation. Ben starts to like Lucy, and she also begins to like him. As Ben tries to kiss her, Lucy suddenly pulls away, feeling unsure about the moment. The next morning, Lucy wakes up and sees Ben paragliding down the mountain. She calls out to him, but he has already left. Then she notices a note he left behind, which says that he will meet her at the bottom. With no other option, Lucy drives alone through the dangerous hills. The journey is tough, but she manages to overcome the challenges. After much effort, she finally reaches the bottom where Ben is waiting. David waits for Lucy to arrive, but the van she was supposed to be in never comes. Worried, he asks a man about her, but the man says Lucy wasn't with them. Hearing this, David becomes anxious and starts wondering where Lucy could have gone. Lucy arrives and angrily shouts at Ben, blaming him for putting her in trouble. She tells him it's too late now because she should have already reached the hotel. Frustrated, they start heading back. Ben drives while playing a music cassette. in the car, trying to lighten the mood. However, after some time, Lucy becomes annoyed by the music. Unable to tolerate it any longer, she grabs the cassette and throws it out of the car, expressing her frustration. Ben stops the car, walks back, and picks up the cassette. However, when he returns and tries to drive, the car won't move. The tires have sunk into the sand due to the detour. Ben tries reversing, but the car only sinks deeper. He struggles to free it, but nothing works. Meanwhile, they realize they have very little water left, and all around them is endless sand with scorching winds. Seeing the situation, Lucy asks if there's another way out. Ben sighs and says no. They are completely stuck. The nearest road is 30 miles away, making it impossible to leave now. He suggests they wait until night when the cold winds arrive, as it will be easier to walk then. But Lucy was very stubborn. She refused to listen to Ben and decided to leave alone, taking only a water bottle and her bag. Walking through the scorching desert, where there was nothing but sand, was nearly impossible. Still, she left Ben behind and went ahead. However, after just an hour, as her water started running out, she began to feel exhausted. Realizing her mistake, she decided to turn back and return to Ben. David searched for Lucy everywhere, but when he found no clues, he went to the police station for help. However, the officer did not take him seriously and casually said that kidnappings were common in the area. He assured David that they would investigate by evening. Frustrated, David replied that if there was one thing he hated, it was waiting. In anger, he hit the officer, which made him furious. The officer then ordered David to leave immediately. Lucy returned to Ben and quickly reached for his water bottle to drink. However, Ben stopped her, reminding her that they needed to save as much water as possible. Understanding the situation, Lucy put the bottle down and agreed with Ben, saying he was right. They should leave at night. Ben takes out a map from his pocket and shows it to Lucy. He tells her that they don't need to walk 30 miles. According to the map, there is a shorter route, and they can reach the road by walking just 12 miles. As evening approached, Ben told Lucy it was time to leave, and they started their journey. After walking for a long time, it was already late, and Lucy was completely exhausted. She stopped and lay down, asking Ben to rest for a while. However, Ben looked around anxiously and told Lucy they couldn't stop now. A strong storm was approaching soon, and they needed to keep moving to find a safe place before it arrived. After saying this, they tried to move forward but couldn't. Suddenly, a powerful storm hit, trapping them in the middle of it. The wind was so strong that walking became impossible. They struggled to escape, but Lucy couldn't move any further. Seeing this, Ben quickly grabbed her and held her close, lying down to shield them from the storm. Meanwhile, David received a call with important information. Someone had discovered Lucy's last known location, giving him a new lead. As morning arrived, both Ben and Lucy were partially buried under the sand from the storm. Lucy slowly opened her eyes and noticed a car moving on a road not too far away. Excited, she quickly pointed it out to Ben. They grabbed the binoculars and looked closely, feeling overjoyed to finally see a way out. Overcome with happiness, Lucy jumped into Ben's lap and shouted with excitement. After facing so many difficulties, they finally had a chance to go home. They quickly started running toward the road, feeling hopeful for the first time in a long while. A sense of relief filled them, but they had no idea that a new challenge awaited them. As they moved forward, they suddenly stopped in shock. A huge ditch blocked their path. Their excitement faded and they felt completely helpless. To reach the road, they had to cross this deep pit. Lucy suggested climbing down, but Ben, exhausted, said they should rest first. He believed they needed strength before deciding how to move forward. Meanwhile, David arrives at Lucy's last known location, where he spots an old man, the same person from whom Ben had taken petrol. David quickly shows him a photo of Lucy, and the man immediately recognizes her. He tells David everything he knows about Lucy and Ben, explaining that they had left for a trip a few miles away. Desperate, David offers the man money to take him there. The man agrees and instructs 2 of his men to accompany David. Without wasting any time, David sets off with them in search of Lucy. Meanwhile, Ben and Lucy are resting under a large rock, trying to regain their strength. After some time, Ben starts preparing a parachute, but Lucy stops him. She tells him that jumping might be too risky, as they could land in the wrong place. Instead, she suggests they try crossing by climbing down carefully. Ben agrees with her plan, and together, they begin descending the slope. This moment brings us back to the very scene we saw at the beginning of the story, where they struggle. As they climb down, Lucy keeps slipping, struggling to stay steady. Ben rushes to help her, grabbing her leg just in time. But suddenly, Ben loses his footing and falls. Lucy also slips and tumbles down. Now both have fallen, and Lucy lies unconscious on one side of the slope. Ben calls out, and Lucy slowly regains consciousness. She looks around and sees Ben hanging on the edge. Quickly, she reaches out her hand and, with great effort, pulls him up. Then she notices a deep injury on Ben's body, with a sharp stone stuck in his wound. Meanwhile, David reaches the mountain where Ben and Lucy had stayed. There, he finds Lucy's camera and watches a video she recorded that night, showing her and Ben together. Seeing this, David assumes that Lucy is happy with Ben and has chosen to stay with him. Feeling hurt and angry, he decides to leave immediately. He orders his men to turn the car around and head back, without searching for Lucy any further. Ben was growing weaker due to his injury and told Lucy that he could no longer climb. He asked her to go up and jump with the parachute, hoping it would help them get rescued. Lucy now faced a new challenge because she had never used a parachute before. However, she knew that trying was better than giving up. Gathering her courage, she climbed up and attempted to fly, but she failed at first. After trying 2 or 3 times, she finally succeeded. The parachute lifted her into the air, and she began flying forward, hoping to find help and save both of them. Ben was happy to see Lucy flying, but as she went further, strong winds disturbed her balance. Suddenly, she lost control and crashed into a rock. Unable to hold on, she fell down, leaving Ben in shock and worry. Lucy slowly regains consciousness and finds some water nearby. She drinks as much as she can and realizes she has reached the bottom of the slope. Confused about what to do next, she suddenly notices a little girl near a water tank. However, the girl looks frightened upon seeing Lucy. To calm her down, Lucy takes out her phone and tries to communicate. She asks the girl about her parents. The girl then leads Lucy to her tribe. As soon as they arrive, Lucy faints from exhaustion. The villagers rush to her aid, concerned for her condition. Meanwhile, David was sleeping in the car on the way back. As they drove, the 2 men with him noticed Ben's car parked nearby. Curious, they went closer and found a lot of belongings inside. Seeing this, their intentions changed. They started planning how to make money from the items. Meanwhile, Lucy takes the tribe people with her to rescue Ben. They climb up to where he is and help him escape. Together, they bring Ben safely back to the tribe. Now it is nighttime, and Ben regains consciousness. As soon as he wakes up, he realizes he is fine and sees Lucy sitting beside him. At this moment, Lucy starts feeling deep love for Ben, and in this way, they become very close to each other. The next morning, many people from the tribe gather around. A girl brings food for them and hands it to Ben and Lucy. She then holds Lucy's hand, smiles, and praises her, saying, "You are a very beautiful and brave girl." Meanwhile, the 2 men arrive at the tribe while searching for Ben and Lucy. As they look around, they spot Ben and Lucy getting ready to leave from there. After this, both men take the car and start driving down the road. They knew that Ben and Lucy would stop after seeing them, and that's exactly what happened. The men then put Ben and Lucy into their car and started driving. However, David was nowhere to be seen because they had already knocked him unconscious and locked him in the trunk. One of the men asks Ben where they left their car. Ben replies that it got stuck near the hill, so they had to leave it behind. The man then suggests they can drop them near their car so they can retrieve it. He also adds that from there, they can arrange a taxi for them. Ben and Lucy exchange uneasy glances, unsure of what the men's true intentions are. Ben and Lucy agree to their plan and start walking toward their car. After a short distance, they finally reach the place where Ben's car was. However, as soon as they step out, the 2 men suddenly point a gun at them and order them to sit on their knees. Both men actually wanted to make a deal. After that, they called some people to the location. Soon, the buyer they had arranged the deal with arrived. Then, they pulled David out of the car's trunk. At that moment, it became clear that their plan was to sell only Ben and David to the buyer. Lucy was not part of their deal, which made the situation even more dangerous for both men. The buyer walks up to Ben and strikes his wound, causing him to collapse in pain. Lucy rushes to help, but the buyer grabs her instead. He smirks and says he is willing to pay extra for the girl. However, the 2 men refuse, insisting they will. The buyer then stares at Lucy with bad intentions and orders her to take off her clothes. Disgusted, Lucy spits in his face. Enraged, he pulls out his gun to shoot her. Just then, one of the men fires his weapon, triggering a chaotic gunfight. Bullets fly, and in the end, they all end up killing each other, leaving Lucy, Ben, and David in shock. In the end, the buyer is still alive and is about to kill Lucy. But at that moment, Ben finds a gun nearby. Without wasting time, he picks it up and shoots the buyer, killing him instantly. After so many struggles and dangers, David, Lucy, and Ben finally survive. However, Ben is very weak because of his injury. While sitting down, he tells them to let the air out of the car's tire so that the car can move again. Hearing this, David gets confused and asks Ben, "If you already knew that this would work, why didn't you do it before?" Lucy also looks at Ben and asks the same thing. Ben smiles and replies, "Yes, I knew this trick from the beginning, but I wanted this trip to last longer so I could spend more time with you." Lucy is surprised but also happy. She then lets the air out of the tire and soon the car is free. In the final scene, all three get into the car and drive back, bringing their adventurous journey to an end.